All right, guys, so I want to introduce you to a website called Photopea. The first thing I'm going to do is show you guys how you can desaturate your photos, which means if it's color, you're desaturating it, so you're taking away the color, aka you're turning it black and white, and just doing some adjustments with your black and white photo. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to photopea.com. Hopefully you have a photo that you're going to use. I recommend saving it somewhere where you know where the heck it is, somewhere on your desktop, somewhere on your computer. So you're going to go File, Open, and then on my desktop, have a folder called Quarantine Photos. So these are just some photos that I took to play around with during the quarantine. So I'm going to use this photo. So I just double clicked on it and it came up. So what can I do to alter this photo? All right, if I want to make it black and white, here is what I'm going to do first. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments. Most of what we're going to be doing is going to be under Image, Adjustments. I'm going to go almost all the way down to Desaturate. All right, so that just takes away the color. So now I have a black and white image. But one thing I want you guys to notice is it's pretty gray. You got a lot of middle grays in here. I don't really see much that's pure white. Maybe this line, not a lot at all that's pure white. So one of the first things you can do just for some quick editing when you have a black and white image is go Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. So brightness and contrast just has these two little sliders. Make sure this little button right here is checked for preview. So as you're adjusting, you'll be able to see what is happening on your photo. All right, so if you want to try to up the contrast, bring out some of those dark areas and white areas, that is what contrast will do. Versus if you bring it down, it just gives you a lot more gray, okay? So you can adjust your contrast, but you will notice the more you adjust it towards 100, the less detail you have in certain areas. So for example, the clouds, you lose those. And I'll show you how you can bring them back a little bit. And then you can also adjust the brightness, go all the way up. You're very washed out, almost all white. Go down, you've got a really dark image. So you can adjust it just depending on your photo, okay? So I'm gonna adjust it like this. You can see what it looked like before if you uncheck preview, and then what it looks like now. So these numbers, they could be completely different for you. There's no right or wrong. You kind of just have to use your eye and decide what you think looks best. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do. Just click OK, and it applies. There are a couple other ways that you can adjust your black and white images. So Image, Adjustment. You can go to either Levels or Curves. They're kind of similar. I'm going to go to Levels. So basically what Levels does is it has a little graph basically of all your areas of white, gray, and black, and you can adjust this. So for example, if I bring down the black, what's happening is everywhere that used to be gray in the middle is now black. Okay, so instead of just a little bit at the top being black, you're adding more and more black areas to your photo, and it's making it really dark. On the flip side, you can do your white. So right now there's very little white. You can hardly see where the diagram is going up right here. And you can drag it forward, and now you're getting more and more white in your image. Okay, so now all of this is white. All right, and then you can do the same for the middle grays. Okay, so that is something you can do to adjust your photo. I want to show you guys also how you can bring out some of your details. So if you have maybe, for example, like the sky and the clouds, and you want to make sure that you're really seeing that area, and you want to make sure you're really seeing that area, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your toolbar on the left side, about 2/3 of the way down. You're going to see one of these tools. It just depends. I think it will probably be this little lollipop looking tool, which is called Dodge, Burn, and Sponge. All right, so we are gonna use Dodge and Burn. Burn means that when you use it, your image is gonna get darker. Okay, so if we were in the dark room, if you were burning in an area, you would be hitting it with more light. Okay, so that's what's happening. If you guys can see right here at the top left of my screen, it has my little, my circle. That's like my brush for dodging. If I go up to the top right here, I can adjust the size, the hardness, which just means, is it a super solid circle or does it have some frayed edges? And then you can change your size. You can see it's getting like a lot bigger or smaller. So I don't really want a small little tiny one if I'm gonna do this whole sky, but I also don't want a huge one because I'm gonna be hitting all the buildings and everything like that. So I want, I don't know, maybe something in between, okay? Exposure, that is pretty much, I wanna say it's kind of like if you're coloring with a marker, it's like your pressure, okay? So if exposure 0% is no line with your marker, then exposure 100% would be whatever you just colored on is like completely solid. So I'm gonna do 50%, somewhere in the middle. I just think that's like less harsh because you can always build your layers when you're adding, when you're burning. You can go over top of it, but you don't want it to look so harsh. So when I click, you can see it's darkening. And I can work to bring out some of the areas of my sky. So I'm going a little overboard here just to kind of show you guys what's happening. All right, so it is getting all that detail of my clouds. So like, whoa, way, way, way too dark, okay? So what I'm gonna do, let's go over here to the history. And every time I picked up my finger off the mouse, I have a new kind of brush stroke of the burn tool. So I can go back up here and I can get rid of the burn tool until I think it looks okay. So I kind of like it like that, just adding a little bit of darkness into the sky. Okay, I think it creates like a little more ominous atmosphere. If you want to use the dodge tool, it does the exact opposite. So if the burn tool makes it darker, the dodge tool is gonna make it lighter because you're like dodging away from the light in the dark room, so it's not getting darker. All right, so same thing. You can use the size up here. You can actually decide which part it's gonna hit. Midtones is just like the regular part of the photo. Shadows would be if there's like a darker shadowy area, and highlights would be maybe probably best if there was like a reflection or like a really bright streak of light. So if I wanted to use this, maybe I want to try to make the glove a little brighter, I could just essentially paint with my dodge tool. And one thing I want to be careful of is now you can see I've also dodged onto the pavement. So that's not necessarily something I want. So I'm just going to go back. All right, maybe I would want a little bit of a smaller brush so I could just brighten up this glove a little bit. Okay, so not much, but maybe I just want to make it pop a little bit more. All right, so those are three ways that you can alter a black and white image. So first you change it black and white, which is desaturating. Then you can play with the brightness and contrast. Then you can play with the levels. And then you can also dodge and burn.